Hello traders, it's Teo Naupan here, founder of Master the Markets Illustrious Conference and the Traders Open Day. So, today in this video on practical Vedanta and trading, we're going to be talking about one important thing that you have to do for consistency. Now, you see, what is that one important thing? And it starts with the letters D-E. Are you having a guess? Think about it. What is that one thing that we need? For example, we want to be consistent in our trades. We got all our rules quantified. But even then, we stop being consistent. We get boggled down by the drawdowns that we get, by the losses that we get. Impatience comes in, and then your mind starts to play out, and you start to think, you know what, am I really going to get the results? Am I going to really get the profitable trades that's going to override the losses? Is my forward testing results going to match my back testing results? And all that chatter starts to come in, and you stop being consistent because you lose the drive. So what is that one important word that you need for consistency, or one important thing that you need to do? And the word is detachment. Okay, traders, detachment. You need to detach from the results. Now, the most reasonable question then is that, Tiru, how do we detach from these results? Now, the first thing, there are three things that we can do to detach from the results that we get. The first thing is, traders, is what we call the law of numbers. Okay, the law of numbers. Now, this is critical for detachment from your results. Now, what do I mean by the law of numbers? Which basically states that on that particular trade, or on that two trades which you get a loss, this is not what makes up the overall result. It's not a single trade that makes up the result. It's a multitude of trades that makes up the overall result. So that is what we mean by law of numbers. Because think about this example. For example, if you're flipping a coin, if you just flip it 3 times, and if it comes up all heads, that does not mean the probability is 50-50. You need law of numbers to keep going on, then only to achieve the probability of 50-50. Same thing in your strategy that you have developed. You can only get your final results once it has gone through the law of numbers. So that will help you. That information alone will help you to detach from the result from that single trade, or even 2 or 3 trades which have lost. Okay? So that's the first one that will help you in the process of detachment. Now the second thing, traders, is in the philosophy of Vedanta, or in just practicality of life, you must first understand that happiness is not in the outside, it's in the inside. Now, if you understand that, then what naturally will happen is that you start to realize that happiness, if it begins from the inside, then naturally it's got to be a state of the mind. When you understand that a happiness is a state of the mind naturally comes into the state of now, into the presence of the now moment. Now, how does that help you as a trader? Because when the mind is present in the now, we stop thinking about the trades from yesterday or the trade that is going to happen tomorrow. Then what then happens? The mind is just focused and zoned in just the process of execution, which helps us in consistency. Okay? So that's what we mean by happiness, which is not in the outside, it's in the inside, which gets you into the state of now, which then helps you to focus on the process of consistency, which then helps you in the law of numbers, which then gets you the overall result, which all starts from the word detachment. Now the third thing, what is important, is coming from the second point, which we are saying that if happiness is not on the outside, which is in the inside, then how do we maintain that mind in the now moment? The only way, traders, according to the philosophy of Vedanta and making it practical towards trading, is only through spending some time in silent sitting, where you observe your thoughts. You see, naturally, when you observe something, for example, if I were to observe this marker pen, what happens? I dissociate myself from this. Now imagine that this marker pen now is a thought that is flowing in your mind. When I observe this thought, I naturally become dissociated from it, and the thought dissolves, and I get into this natural state of the presence of now. Okay? So these are the three things that I want to mention to you, which will help you in the detachment of the results, keep you in the now moment through the law of numbers, and abiding in the self. Okay? So that's really good for you now to digest this information and apply it in your own trading. So as we always say, till the next time, till we meet, always stay disciplined, focus on your trading plan, and keep trading like a master.